Experiment, it came in one question as well. Experiment is considered a process in which scientists change one factor or one variable in order to see how it's affecting the outcome of a specific situation. Any experiment in the world has a lot of variables. Those variables can be categorized into one of three: either to be independent, or to be dependent, and they controlled. The variable that the scientists manipulate, it's called the changing or manipulated, changed or manipulated. So the variable that the scientists change by their own, the scientist that is being tested by the scientist, the variable that is being manipulated is considered or is known as the independent variable. Then we have the dependent variable. This is very important in all of the sciences, not only for bio, because experiment is found in all of the three sciences. The dependent variable is the observable or the measured. It's considered the measured or the observed variable, okay? And all of the rest of variables should be maintained constant, should be kept constant. Why? In order not to affect the experiment, okay? All of them are known as controlled variable. An example, we are studying the effect of, for example, effect of temperature on rate of photosynthesis. Example, rate of photosynthesis. So this is an example. In this example, we have independent variable. The independent variable is temperature, okay? And the dependent is rate of photosynthesis. And the controlled variable are all of the rest. Example, the carbon dioxide concentration, for example, concentration, okay, of carbon dioxide. For example, the humidity, okay, for example, light intensity, okay, for example, we said wind direction or wind speed. Any other variable that is, or rather than the dependent and independent, is considered a controlled variable and should be kept and should be maintained constant all over or during the experiment in order not to affect the result, not to interfere with other variables. That's very important. It didn't come in the SAT exam, but you need to know this. One of the questions that came here is for the units in the metric system. As you know, the metric system is a system in order to measure the specific parameters or specific units or quantities, in which the meter will be used for measuring the length, the kilogram is being used to measure the mass, the liter is being used to measure the volume, and of course the second for measuring the time. Only one question came here, and he did ask you about the mass in particular. That's in the tajmi'at, in the SAT tajmi'at, but you need of course to know the measuring the metric system or the SI unit, the standard international unit system. And as I did mention before in the previous slide, that talking about independent, the dependent, the controlled. Again, and one more time, the independent variable is the factor that is being tested or changed or manipulated by your hands or by the scientist. The dependent variable is considered a factor that is being measured or observed. And eventually, the controlled variables are all of the rest of the variables that should be maintained, that should be kept constant throughout the experiment time.